Hi everyone. Today I thought I would talk about the recent shootings, the terrible shooting up of a primary school and all the consequent deaths that came from it. Most discussions about that are about gun control, which is a very good discussion to have. However, I'm not well educated enough to know what side I'm on, so I don't have an opinion on that because I don't tend to like giving my opinion about something that I don't feel like I'm informed about. However, one thing I do feel like I'm very informed about is autism, which came into the spotlight after it was revealed that the shooter was thought to have Asperger syndrome. As a autism researcher myself, that is what I specialise in. This upset me a lot when the news, or all forms of the news, sensationalised the fact that the shooter had Asperger syndrome, which is a type of autism, kind of on the scale of autism, but it's referred to as a high functioning autism. So they're still not able to read social cues and are quite awkward around people and don't seem to be normal, whatever normal is, but they're not as they're more adaptable than people with classic autism. But what really upset me was the articles and reports somehow trying to make a link between this terrible behaviour, this terrible violent behaviour, and autism as a whole. For those unaware, or for those who have no idea what autism is, basically it's characterised and diagnosed by a lack of skills that humans take for granted in terms of social skills, facial recognition, picking up on sarcasm, joking. It makes the person with autism or Asperger syndrome very logical and straightforward, and take everything literally. So often metaphors and jokes and sarcasm are completely lost on them, as that is more of a human languagey thing that we've made up rather than something set in stone and something that can be necessarily explained. There's a very, very condensed explanation of autism. It also entails hypersensitivity to senses such as noise, lights, touch. A lot of autistic children throw tantrums, which don't stem from bad behaviour, but instead from frustration in not being able to verbalise what they want, or verbalise that they need someone to turn the lights out or something like that. So it's very much a condition of misunderstanding and often frustration and grief from the parents' point of view because they don't know how to help their child. So just a little bit of background information is needed on autism to understand why linking it to this shooting is just absolutely horrific. If any of the news reporters had actually bothered to do any research, which I know they don't, because it's the news and they just want to be as sensational as possible, they would have found that people with autism are actually less likely to be violent and engage in criminal activity, as they often have deep ethical concerns and rules, even more so than people without autism. So to suggest that having autism means you are inherently violent and cruel, just A, doesn't make sense, and B, the research does not back it up. If you were ever to meet an autistic child or teenager or adult, you would find that they are usually quite timid and actually have suffered from a lot of bullying in their life and aren't prone to violence or cruelty. Quite a lot of autistic kids do lash out physically, often through tantrums or throwing themselves on the floor or slapping their mum and dad, but this doesn't come from a cruel place. This comes from a place of frustration, and it doesn't come from a place where they feel they have to get a gun and kill many small children and teachers. That has nothing to do with the diagnoses of autism or the things that come along with it. Of course, there is the chance that his Asperger's may have contributed to his success, for a better word, success at completing this terrible act. He may have had a fascination with guns or something that Asperger's teenagers and children tend to have, in which they become single-mindedly obsessed with a certain thing and become experts at it. Who knows? I don't think there is any reason for what he did. There usually isn't a reason for these types of terrible things. And as I've previously said before, there's no good reason for anything. This has just been a terrible tragedy that's happened, and people want to point the finger somewhere. They want to latch on to something to blame. And of course they can blame the shooter, but he's dead. They can't get that reaction. They can't get that satisfaction that they want, so they go after a medical condition instead, a psychological condition, which doesn't make any sense because it's not helping anyone. It's not helping anyone with autism or Asperger's who already get enough shit in their lives, who are already called weird and psychos and all this kind of stuff, when in fact they simply just think differently to all of us. And who's to say what's normal anyway? I mean, studying autism, I've found so many amazing things that autistic people are able to do that normal people can't, that we should be jealous of instead of critiquing and bullying and making out like they're psychopathic killers. We should be instead embracing them as important members of our society and treating them no different to how we treat someone who didn't have autism. So I'd just like to, if anyone had any thoughts that maybe the shooter's autism made him do this or was a large contributing factor. And there's been crazy thoughts out there like, oh, everyone who's diagnosed with autism should be registered. That's ridiculous. That is one of the most offensive things I've ever heard. So if you were happening to think that his Asperger's made him do it, then think again and maybe do a little bit of research before you come to such hurtful conclusions like that. And I guess it made me especially angry because it is my field of research and my passion. It's all I read about. It's all I watch videos about. It's all I think about. And to have it portrayed in such a negative light in the mainstream media was quite hurtful. Even though I personally don't have autism, I felt hurt for a lot of the young kids, teenagers, adults who do have it, who are just trying to live their lives really, and people are now labelling them as psychopathic killers, so that's no fun for them. So yeah, just thought I'd have a little bit of a talk about that. What do you guys think? Were you outraged by how quickly they made the connection without any prior research or any concern for the autistic community? Tell me what you think. Thanks guys, see you later.